From the far horizons of the unknown time and space, these are stories of the future, the death of the future, and the future of death. We present for your consideration, Future Macabre Radio.
Episode 7, The Island of Dr Vertussis.
It started after I got off work. I was a fifth-year medical student about to graduate, trapped in a hamster wheel of work, school, patients, doctors, nurses, teachers, days blending into nights, the never-ending cycle. But everything was piling up and I felt like I was drowning in responsibilities. Work was always stressful, but something I had to look forward to was Friday nights with my girlfriend. We would often relax by watching old black and white horror movies. The cheesier the better, we always said.
Here's a glass of wine for you. Popcorn's ready.
You sure can microwave a good bowl of popcorn. What happens in this one?
A man is injected with a serum that turns him into a beast. Now, Leonard Martin says it's got incredibly corny effects. It was produced on a shoestring budget after the success of Lon Chaney Jr.'s performance in The Wolfman.
Sounds like a delightful escape. But I'd be willing to watch paint dry if it meant I got to spend an evening with you.
God, I hope our movie nights are more exciting than that. Sit down close so I can cuddle you when I pretend to be scared.
Oh, pause it. I'm getting a call from my professor. It's 9:30. What could he want? Hello, Dr. Vertussis? To what do I owe the pleasure at this hour?
Why, Dina, I'm glad you picked up. How are you?
Good. Yeah, you?
I'm fine. Listen, Dina, I'd like to extend an offer to you. I'm hosting a gathering soon, and I was hoping you could attend.
A dinner party? I'd love to go. I was glad I was on the phone. I'm sure he could have noticed a micro-expression on my face if we'd been speaking in person.
No, a weekend retreat, actually. Your colleagues Harrod and Stan will be there. I've got property on an island with a little chateau with enough bedrooms for everyone. It's a charming place I escape to on holiday.
Oh,
I'll warn you, it is fairly remote, but I can't explain to you how refreshing it can be to get away from the bustle and the hustle. There's no stores there or stoplights. You'll just need to drive 2 hours to the port, and there will be a boat to bring you there.
Well, Doctor, as much as I wish I could, I'm afraid I couldn't possibly go for an entire weekend. Besides, you know Dr. Harrison would never let me out of my Sunday obligations.
I've already talked to him and told him you'd be helping me with some research. And be sure to bring Gloria, too. She's invited. Everyone can bring a +1.
I cringed at the idea of bringing Gloria or spending any time socially with Professor Vertussis. Pretending to be nice to assholes was one of the worst parts of this job. I had been wary of him since he had crossed a line with a colleague of mine. She had been so upset about it, she dropped out of school and we never heard from her again. Now, he seemed to have an interest in Gloria.
Dina, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I was just thinking. Thank you very much for your kind invitation.
So you'll be there. I'll email you the information.
I tried to enjoy my evening with Gloria, but she was excited to see the island. We watched the movie. It was just as bad as she said it would be. In my mind, a seed of unease was planted by the doctor's invitation. As the credits rolled, I told Gloria I was having second thoughts about going. She wasn't having any of it.
Don't be a stick in the mud.
Would you still go if I didn't want to?
I suppose I would. Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean I should have to miss out on a free island vacation. But I'm not just saying that to make you jealous.
This guy's ego is unchecked. He spent too long in the upper echelon of medical academia and he thinks he can do no wrong. There's been no check on his power at the university, so we can only imagine what he does on that island.
Or maybe he just goes fishing and drinks a cocktail or two to get his mind off work.
I have to tell you about something. One of his grad students disappeared a few years ago. They say she suffered from depression and bipolar disorder. There was rumors of dissociative identity disorder as well, but I suspected that was slanderous damage control. I refused to believe that Amelia just forgot who she was and ran away.
What does that have to do with him?
She had been his assistant. What if, prior to her dropping out, she'd also accepted an invitation to his island?
I'm sorry that happened to your friend, but do you really have any reason to suspect he was involved? He's been a doctor for 30 years. I'm sure he had nothing to do with it. I trust him, though I do think he has a little crush on me. I have a soft spot for creepy old pervs. They remind me of characters from these old movies.
Against my better judgment, a few days later, I found myself on the boat there with Gloria and several other med students. My friends, Harrod, Roger, Stan, and Aaron. None of them had brought dates, and I wondered if the invitation had been extended to them. Gloria was probably right. The lack of meaningful rest in my hectic program was likely resulting in me being paranoid. I'd heard a rumor that the schedule doctors are expected to maintain was established when it was common for them to dose themselves with cocaine and speed.
My first weekend off from my residency. I'm gonna sleep in till, 7 o'clock.
Jeez, remind me to never get a medical degree.
It'll be worth it when I find the cure to brain cancer.
Not if you get a heart attack from the pressure.
Gloria was always a social butterfly. That's what I loved about her. She could befriend anyone. People just tended to feel safe in her presence, and she genuinely cared about people she had just met. I looked out at the crashing waves, trying to let my worries drift away like the sea foam splashing around. The boat made landfall at 5:20 p.m. We docked at an ancient-looking wooden pier that was rotting and falling apart. There were palm trees swaying in the wind, and I could see a Victorian mansion barely visible behind the mist. The doctor, not in his usual scrubs, but wearing a purple button shirt, was waiting for us at the edge of the dock.
Welcome, welcome. I'm ecstatic to see such brilliant minds coming together on this little retreat. Come on now, don't be shy.
He led us off his boat onto his island. We walked on unpaved paths through lush greenery as he showed off the flora and fauna as if he'd created them.
Do keep up, will you? There are an abundance of amenities that will be at your disposal this weekend. My gardeners grow all of the food here. Everything was particularly curated by design. We even make our own wine, which of course you can indulge in. There are running trails that lead around to the north site. Don't go exploring in the forest off-trail, though. There are some poisonous plants, best to be avoided. Now please feel free to look around, but dinner is served at 8 sharp.
Gloria was astonished by the house, like she recognized it from an old film. She giddily grabbed my arm and rushed me inside. After being shown to my room with navy blue wallpaper and ornamental chandeliers, we were brought to a dining room where a feast had been set out, lit with candles and bottles of champagne. Salads with freshly harvested greens, brisket marinated in red wine, turkey, chicken, potatoes, mashed and stuffed. So this is how some people eat, I thought, holding my tongue.
My friends, I'd like to make a speech. I'm not really a man of words. I'm a humble man of medicine. In your journey, there will be a struggle to balance life and work. You'll hold lives in your hands. You'll witness people pass on and other patients thrive because of your intervention. What always must come first for you is the science. Many of you are near graduation, and so you've been working at this goal tirelessly for years. I want to bring attention to one special young woman in particular. Dina, why don't you stand up?
I had to fight the instinct to roll my eyes when he misgendered me, but held back. I'd told him before I'm a guy. Just treat me like you would any other young doctor and give me the decency of acknowledging, but like some others of his generation, he just didn't seem to get it through his skull.
Dina is one of my most intelligent, hard-working students. She's got a bright future ahead of her. I'm certain she will do great things.
Each time he used she to refer to me was like a slap across my face. Why was he singling me out like this? Why did I matter so much?
You deserve a rest. You all do. I remember when I was in my residency, and while I wasn't nearly as complacent as some of you, it wasn't easy. I do just have one small request. You may find it strange. Please leave your doors unlocked overnight. The doorknobs here are antiques, and some have been getting stuck in the locked position. It would be such a hassle to bring a locksmith here to the island to replace them. So please, have fun. Do spare us the expense of replacing those doorknobs, and enjoy yourselves.
Great stuff, Doc. Better than the hospital cafeteria, for sure.
This salad is delicious. Everything was grown here on the island?
It's delicious, Doc. Oh, this is great. Would you pass me some more?
I took a sip of a drink from my Nalgene. I watched as Harrod, Stan, Roger, and Gloria stuffed their faces. I didn't eat any of the food. Where I am from, to break bread with someone means something. He wants us to sleep with our doors unlocked? I half wanted to punch his teeth out at the shit he was implying, but Gloria convinced me to drop it. Are you sleepy?
Not at all.
I wanted to say goodnight.
Come in. Is your room decorated with such charming antiques? I have a private bath and vintage telephone. Couldn't you imagine a horror movie filmed here? With a lingering shot on these old porcelain dolls perched here on the dresser?
So you just love it here, eh? Even after his creepy speech?
I know he made you feel uncomfortable at dinner. I could see you were making a fist. I didn't want to say anything. I mean, well, he's been such a kind host and the food here is amazing, but honestly, Dina, I'm feeling a bit off about the way he's acting. Maybe we shouldn't have come.
I'm sure it'll be all right. When this weekend is over, let's make a plan to move in together. Would you like to? Wouldn't it be exciting to make every night a sleepover with your best friend?
Dina, really? You're finally ready? Yes, of course. I can't wait to share every meal with you, see you every day when you come home from work, and spend every night together. Do you feel like...
I don't think I could get in the mood, darling. I'd keep wondering what object around here has a hidden camera inside of it. Wouldn't want to give an old man a show. We should be getting to bed.
Can I have a kiss first? I'll be dreaming of you, I'm sure.
Do lock your door.
Of course. Good night.
I want to hear you lock it before I go. I don't know how long I was asleep. It didn't ever truly get dark, as light outside was overly bright and constantly moving like this was a prison yard. I heard strange noises outside my bedroom door. I thought I heard the sound of something brushing by the hall, the doorknob to my room being jiggled, and then an exhale of disappointment when whoever was trying to open it found that it was locked. Maybe I just dreamed it, but that answer wasn't satisfying to my overactive mind. I woke up, and though it wasn't light yet, I felt too antsy to sleep. I went exploring. I walked outside. The wind was a calm breeze, and the seagulls were pecking at crabs on the beach. Following a trail, I found something hanging from a tree. What was it? A strange, crude sculpture. Sticks had been wrapped together in bundles with stripped bark and roots. Were these effigies? Who had put them there? Did this island have teenage pranksters? That seemed a lot more reasonable than that these were by an indigenous population. The weird constructions creeped me out, and I didn't want to go any further in the woods. I turned around and headed back to the beach. I saw some figures standing at the dock, looking out. Was one of them Gloria, and the other Harrod? I ran up to them.
Dina, come here. I want to talk to you. Something is very wrong.
We can't leave the island. Someone took the boat back without us. There's no other way back to mainland.
So he's trapped us here, has he? What has he got planned?
Can't put my finger on it, but I don't think this weekend was intended just for an entertaining getaway.
Back in Gloria's room, I began looking for a surveillance camera. I pulled some of the taxidermied animals off the wall to see if their eyes or mouths hid something. I looked in all his antique lamps. Darling, would you help me move this dresser?
Really, Dina, you're being paranoid. I'm sure there's a perfectly rational reason why the boat had to go back.
The reason is he wants to harm us. And for those who witness it, they won't be able to escape and bring back authorities. Let's pull it out from the wall. Ready? 1, 2...
Oh my god. These antiques are heavy. Do you think this is made of oak?
Look, someone scratched a message on the back.
Don't drink the water. And there's hatches. Do you think...
It might indicate the number of days someone was trapped in here. Look under the bed. I'll check behind the mirror.
How exciting. I hope whoever left that message is all right.
I can feel there's something scratched under the bed. Bring that lamp over here. Stairs, den, fake book. Well, whoever he is leaving us these messages, he isn't verbose.
Well, you try writing a novel by scratching it on wood. Let's go look in the den.
We went downstairs to the professor's library. It was decorated with more of the kitschy art and animal heads that were in the rest of the place. But here were many shelves full of old books. The professor and the others were outside playing tennis. I was, of course, nervous we would get caught. Gloria began pulling at all the books on the shelf systematically. She knew what the message meant, and sure enough...
Whoa, look at this. I found a secret passageway. When you pull this blue book out, the bookshelf opens like a door. It's just like an escape room.
I've heard of millionaire preppers decking out an island before, but what's he got down there? A fallout shelter? Food storage for surviving a nuclear exchange?
Something that a previous guest must have found. He wouldn't scratch that message on his own antique bed.
Should we check it out?
Of course.
We went down the stairs and felt the temperature drop immediately. The metal staircase was steep and went down 2 stories. I opened a door and found a white, well-lit room. There were computers and blinking lights on large machines, counters with stills and Bunsen burners, Erlenmeyer flasks. An array of surveillance monitors showed every room in the chateau. I recognized the bedroom Gloria had been sleeping in. A glass wall with an airlock protected the lab from an observatory filled with a dozen cages, large enough to hold a man. This must have cost millions. Who were his investors? I called out, "Hello?" thinking maybe some of the cages had prisoners inside, but there was no response. It was all kept impeccably clean.
What is this place?
It seems to be a secret laboratory. Look over here. This is a liquid chromatography machine. And here is a reflux condenser and a Dean Stark apparatus. Over there is electrophoresis equipment and spectrometers. It looks like he has the equipment to create mind-altering substances, and that in those cages, he was testing them on living things. Look through his drawers for some research logs. I'll look over here.
It's impolite to look through someone's research logs without being invited.
I spun around, and there he was at the door, a frown on his face and a hungry look in his eyes, but his hands empty. I was scared he might have a gun, but he seemed unarmed. I found myself confronting him instead of apologizing. "Who did you have in these cages, Doc?"
Well, you could have just asked. I'd assume a girl as bright as you would have extended me that professional courtesy.
I'm not a girl.
I planned to share all of this with you someday. You could have been part of the greatest scientific advancements in human cognition in history. But you threw that away when you came looking down here. I expected more from you.
I wouldn't be caught dead doing experiments with subjects in cages.
I've been experimenting with a serum to expand creativity in the mind. I've been testing it on chimpanzees for several years. When you ate the meal last night, you were given a small dose.
You dosed me? How could you?
Scientific advancement moves too slowly with all the red tape. If you want to make real progress, you can't wait for bureaucrats to give you permission. You have to reach out and grab it. Progress is the only thing that matters. We could solve real problems if one hand weren't tied behind our backs all the time.
Doctor, I didn't eat the meal last night. I suspected your plans for us were nefarious.
Yes, well, I assumed you'd be smarter than the others. I had intended for you to assist me. I'm so grateful you brought me Gloria. She will make a perfect test subject.
Before I could even realize what he did, the doctor suddenly grabbed Gloria and threw her onto a chair.
No!
I ran after her, but he effortlessly shoved me back.
Uh.
He was old, but he was stronger than I had assumed. Restraints automatically bound her wrists and ankles. She struggled, and I got back up.
This serum is one of a kind. It's taken me years to perfect it and will take years to replicate. You should be flattered it will be used on you. It can take you to places previously unexplored in the human mind. Have you ever experimented with psychedelics before? Peyote? Ayahuasca?
I don't want it, you freak. If it's so powerful, use it on yourself.
I considered that, but it's still highly experimental. Unfortunately, with large doses, there can be unpleasant side effects. Usually hallucinations. Some of my previous test subjects ripped out their own eyes hoping to end them. I've tweaked that formula, so hopefully you won't succumb to that fate.
The doctor held a syringe with a blue liquid swirling inside. He prepared Gloria's arm with an alcohol wipe. I had a crazy idea. To save Gloria, I'd do anything. Wait! She won't make a good subject.
Oh, now you have opinions to share about my research?
It would be a waste of something you've worked so hard on.
How so?
She's lazy. She doesn't even work. She would be a waste of the serum.
Don't listen to them.
You should use it on someone who...
Dina, no.
Who is hardworking and bright. You should use it on your best student.
Well, you always have been persuasive. I just can't say no.
Gloria, I love you. Ah! The doctor turned and jabbed the needle in my arm. I was so shocked I froze. He dashed away and turned on a camera on a tripod, swiveled it around and pointed it at me.
Test subject is about 35 years old, 5'9", approximately 165 pounds. Her dose was exceptionally large.
You're filming this? What's wrong with you?
The serum was icy hot in my veins. It was excruciatingly painful, but along with the pain was a euphoria. Bursting, pumping. I could feel my internal organs, the muscles holding them together swiveling, unfolding like origami, each reacting to the drug. I was anticipating something, like an orchestra winding up before a crescendo or water being pulled at my ankles on the shore. And then I was hit by a massive wave of realization. Objects around me seemed to sparkle, and I could see every speck of dust and pollen in the air, illuminated as if a veil was lifted. I could see infinitesimal things that I'd never noticed before. Bacteria, viruses, and even molecules of water. Nitrogen and carbon dioxide all around me, floating in the air. A cosmic dance of particles weaving in and out of a tapestry of space-time. The microscopic was revealed in stunning blasts of color and light. Furious pinks, pinker than anything I'd ever seen, violently slammed into intense cyans. Everything around me was twinkling. I could focus even more and look beyond this and see even photons of light, brilliant luminescent beams and particles reflecting off everything. Radiation zoomed by me. Then, the voice of Gloria reminded me that I was here in a lab with her.
Dina, what's happening to you?
I turned and saw Gloria. Time had slowed for me, and she wasn't merely her, but a stuttering superposition of the future and the past. I saw her pain As a baby, a child, a young woman, and also an old woman, and as a rotting corpse, a ballet dancer. She fell and hurt her ankle. A brief punk phase while she had a shaved head. I saw a broken tibia. I saw scars from when a previous boyfriend had hit her. A healed broken bone. I saw her hair blonde and gray at once, every freckle and wrinkle. She was a universe unto herself with brilliant thoughts and painful memories. Every wink and smile. Her beauty was overwhelming. But I saw right through her eyelids to her eyes and her skull and to her mind, like a film screen of her entire past. She had endured such pain. Tears flowed from her, and yet she chose to love me, chose to forgive, and was able to let go even though she had endured suffering.
I believe the serum is taking effect. It could be a little overwhelming the first time.
I gazed upon the doctor. His smile cast a shadow. His aura was menacing. I saw every grotesque pore of his skin, and they exported a dark emanation. I couldn't help but imagine horns on his head, and there they were. Black, massive wings, a tail as he transformed into a cartoonish exaggeration of a devil, a personification of lecherous greed and hubris. Visions of all humanity's villains piled on top of each other, his face changing like a flipbook of evil men, each visage occupying his for a brief moment. He was Julius Caesar, he was Genghis Khan, Robespierre, Stalin, Nixon, and Beelzebub.
You'll thank me if you just give into it. You'll grow to love it. Embrace enlightenment.
Purple and black acrid smoke filled the air around him. Red lightning crackled and burst. Could this be real, or was my fear manifesting hallucinations? I had an urge to escape this wicked corruption of man, to take Gloria and fly. Before I could even realize what I had done, I found myself racing up the stairs with her in my arms. I sprinted out of the building toward the shore.
What are you doing? Put me down!
You'll lean into it in time, and you'll be grateful.
How to get Gloria off the island? How could we escape to safety? I could swim. I could use my powers of perception to find the safest path. I'd find warmer water within the ocean. I'd find currents to push me along. I'd will the ocean to give me passage. I'd call out to friendly dolphins to carry us. I'd find some solution, some way to escape with my new powers of perception. But what of Harrod and the others? Confusing jumbles of the past and future converged in my imagination. I saw a vision of them in a cage in the lab, drooling and pissing themselves. Amelia had been here in one of those cages. Smells, images flooded my mind of the pain Professor Vertussis' victims had endured. My colleagues would soon suffer the same fate as Amelia and those chimpanzees, brain dead from a batch of the doctor's vile serum. To flee would be cowardice. I had to save them. I couldn't bring those he hurt back, but I could prevent him from hurting any more. I had to stop this man. Could I bring myself to kill? I was looking for a solution, for some weapon, when I began to imagine what was happening back at the chateau. I could hear their voices in my mind as if I was there.
What happened, Doc? We thought we heard some screaming. Where is Dina?
She ran down to the beach with Gloria. She threatened to kill me.
What are you talking about, Professor? Why would they want to hurt you?
She thought I was interested in Gloria. She's got delusions and her jealousy has driven her mad. Don't listen to her. She's convinced herself that I gave her some kind of drug that's transformed her.
That doesn't sound like them.
I'm still struggling to believe it myself. She knocked me down and ran off. She's confused fantasy with reality. Take this pair of handcuffs and this taser. We've got to stop her.
What need do you have for a taser on the island, Professor?
You just go catch her before she gets to the forest. If Dina runs into the forest, don't follow her.
That's an odd thing to say. What could be in the forest?
It dawned on me. The way I would destroy this monster came to me as if guided by a divine source. I would bark at him. I would growl. I would find within me a blood-curdling scream that would resemble those a bear or a lion emits as it hunts its prey. And it would tap into his automatic fear response. My voice would affect the air, and this sound would enter his eardrum, and signals would be sent to his brain. Cortisol and adrenaline would be released, and his heart rate would increase, putting him on edge. Then a sudden lunge from me would shock him, and a severe enough drop in blood pressure would cause his heart to stop beating, and he'd fall down dead. To kill with a sound, with no weapon needed or bruise from my touch, it was brilliant, and I'd be blameless. Smug with what I thought was a masterclass in logical thinking, I let my guard down, and I was subdued by the doctor and my colleagues. They handcuffed me and sedated me. Where had Gloria gone to? I woke up hearing familiar voices.
What is the matter with them?
Yeah, I don't know. They're just growling and barking like an animal. They were a brilliant doctor, but somehow they lost it.
Do you know where the doctor keeps the keys to this cage? Maybe this cage is actually the safest place for them. They could hurt themselves. We'll be back for you, bud, once you've calmed down. I'm sorry.
I found myself unable to speak. Sometimes I felt that I was speaking, but some confounded aphasia was keeping me from saying out loud my thoughts. All that was coming out of me was growls and barks. I'd think, "Say, help me, Gloria." And I'd hear a whimper and a howl. I'd think, who is making that sound? And then I'd realize it was coming from me. It used to be I could picture her in my mind's eye, but it was fading. Now I was just remembering a scent, a feeling. I ran around in my cage. I noticed my body hair was growing coarse and thick. What was happening to me? I called out, and rather than words, I heard a guttural growl. Previously, I could imagine what was happening when I wasn't around. I tried to visualize in my mind what was happening with Gloria and the doctor, the other students, and the world outside. I could no longer picture it. My memory was being changed into blurry colors and scents. I was thinking in smells. Was I going mad? Is this what it's like to lose one's mind? I waited in the cage for what seemed like days. Hard to tell the passing of time with no view of the sun's rise and fall. I grew so restless and lonely. I held my face to the cold steel bars as that sensation brought me some comfort. The professor didn't come down to check on me. I came to be so incredibly thirsty. I stopped yelling and crying and just sat alone in the dark. Then one day, I heard a commotion upstairs. There was a sound of multiple footsteps coming down the stairs, dropping objects, crashing sounds. Suddenly, bursting into the laboratory, I saw Gloria flanked by two massive animals. One had black fur, a chimpanzee. The other was a bright, rusty orange. "Gloria!" I shouted, though I could hear it came out more like a... Bringing a key to the lock, Gloria opened my cage and let me out. She immediately gave me a large hug.
Oh, Dina, I'm so glad you're all right. I've had quite an adventure. After the doctor dosed me, I was furious. I was plotting my revenge when I became overwhelmed with pleasurable sensation, and I was drawn to go deep into the jungle. The stars drew me there. With their twinkle, the whole night sky was urging me to go into the forest. The grass was gently nudging me like cilia. I felt compelled to sing, and I haven't sung since I was a child. I mean, sure, a little radio ditty here or there to pass the time as I'm driving or waiting for an elevator, but I began singing with my full lungs and dancing too. Dina, I have perfect pitch. Listen to this. That was a C sharp. That was a G. Birds and squirrels came to me like I was a Disney princess summoned by my voice. Birds landed on my shoulder to be nearer to me, and they told me which fruits to eat. I can sing to trees, and they drop their fruit for me. It's incredible. I was searching for plants which I could eat, not certain what was a healthy snack and what would be poison. I merely meditated on them and asked ancestors if this food item would be healthy. And sometimes they answered me yes, and sometimes they answered me no. It was getting dark, and I was fashioning myself a shelter out of banana leaves and sticks. I noticed that my singing had attracted some eyes looking at me through the jungle. I met these two. They were shy at first, but we've become great friends. They cooked me food and showed me the buildings they've constructed. Apparently, the doctor had used them as previous test subjects, and they escaped. They're making tools, they're making musical instruments and art, and they're making boats to escape the island.
The orangutan seemed to be nodding in agreement with everything Gloria said. He looked at her with love in his eyes, the way one looks at a cherished pet.
You know how I felt confused, aimless? I've been jealous that you've been so driven to get your medical degree. I've not known what I wanted to do with my life, but now I know I'm to be an advocate for these intelligent apes who live on this island. We have to rescue them, and we have to educate them further. There's no telling what they could accomplish if they were encouraged.
Hearing this, the chimpanzee clapped and struck me on the back as if I were a close friend. He laughed and offered me a glass of water, which I was glad to take. I struggled to talk, finding myself stuttering and struggling to walk. The apes gently helped me by offering their shoulders for me to rest on. They were so strong, so gentle. Gloria, safe, Dean? Gloria, queen of monkeys now?
Dina, they are apes. Honestly, you should know that.
I knew this, and yet my voice was saying something other than my internal monologue. I tried to tell Gloria, I am suffering from expressive aphasia, but I heard my voice say, Dean no talk good, Dean no smart.
Are you saying Dean? Is that your name? Dean?
Yes, Dean.
Oh, wow. Well, it's very nice to meet you, Dean.
Where, doctor?
Oh, I'm afraid he's dead. The apes surrounded him and beat him to death. It was quite a mess. I'm so sorry you missed it, really.
Need ask him how fix. Mind broke.
There was no stopping them. I couldn't have, even if I wanted to. It was brutal. But there's a poetic justice to it. He had a mastery over brain chemistry, but he couldn't stop his own creation from destroying him. I found the key in his pocket. Sam and Harrod are upstairs with some of the other chimpanzees. So is Amelia. She's the one who left those messages in my room.
Amelia lives?
Yes, she's fine. She's been living with the chimpanzees for a few years now and reaching through the universe with her third eye. Come on, let's get you into a bath and some fresh clothes. You have got to hear smart ape music. It's polyrhythmic. They could teach you a thing or two about manners. Oh, when we get back to the mainland, we have to reach out to Jane Goodall. What a shame that Pierre Boulet has passed away. He would have been thrilled to see this.
We were rescued within a week. We ate like kings and shared everything with our new friends. What I thought was hypertrichosis faded away as a hallucination after Gloria touched my skin, and with patience and exercise, my aphasia subsided. Thanks to Dr. Harrison's professional reference, I secured a GP position near the Great Ape Sanctuary where Rascal, Blueberry Phoenix, and Clyde now reside. They chose those names themselves, naturally. Gloria and Amelia have positions at the facility, and we still maintain our ritual of watching old bad horror films. That unusual weekend on the island stays with me, informing my medical practice. I think it made me a better doctor. Now, when patients describe pain or unusual symptoms, I no longer default to skepticism. I make sure to listen, look them in the eyes, and believe them.
This has been a production of Future Macabre Radio, Episode 7, The Island of Dr. Vertussis. Starring Sam Stark as Dean, Maggie Mayfield as Gloria, Tim Harrod as the Doctor, with Mitch Shaw and Isaac Paris as medical students.